car! Righto guys, welcome back to Rome Life. We're working on this absolute beast of a patrol. Well, it'll be a beast when I'm finished. But today I wanted to give you guys a quick update. We are going to do some work on it today, but mainly an update because I have been working through the week. What I've actually managed to do is, you've seen in the last video, I shaved the drip rail on, or the gutter on the driver's side. I did it, and through the week I've actually done the passenger side as well. So I've got some photos and videos of what I've actually managed to do, so you guys are going to see that very shortly. But before I actually started that, I pulled down the pinch weld around the windscreen and noticed that there was a little bit of rust in there, which you guys will see shortly as well. And I actually ended up having to take the glass out, and I did also fix all that rust and paint it and bog it, and it looks good. I'm so stoked with it. So I wanted to show you guys, it is filmed on my iPhone because I didn't have the camera because Alicia was editing the previous video, so she had all the camera gear, so I filmed it on my iPhone. I wanted you guys to see it, so just take a look at that footage now. Alright guys, I'm here at the workshop working on the patrol. I was just about to cut the other side of the roof off, which I'm not filming, which is why this is on my iPhone, but I did find, going through the like the moulding on the window, I found a little bit of rust, so let me show you guys what we're up to now. I've pulled that out. We have a missing windscreen here. I've pulled the headliner right down, but you can see bits of rust all through here. Just here we've got a clump of rust, more rust up there, and on the inside here, I don't know if you guys can see that, but just there we're missing some paint and some rust, so this is going to allow me to get right up in there with that KO66 the whole way around. So I'm pretty happy we're doing this, to be honest. But yeah, I thought I'd just give a quick update. I'm going to try and wire wheel that back and then hit it with some paint and some rust protectant stuff, and yeah, hopefully we can get a new windscreen before the weekend. I can start chopping open the other side of the roof. All right, progress update. I've just removed this cowling here, and that's pretty much because I've just seen all that dust in there. So while the window's out, I thought I'd remove that, but I am just tidying up the inside, and then I'm going to try and put a rag or some towels across so that I can grind and not get stuff all through the cab, which really doesn't matter anyway. I just don't want, see, this is grinding dust and it turns to rust, so I just don't want that stuff everywhere. But yeah, kind of glad I'm going this far because I absolutely hate rust, but got a box for all the goodies and just getting stuck into it. All right guys, about halfway through, so I've done directly up to about halfway, and it's all actually, like, I'm lucky I'm getting to it so early because it's all actually pretty well intact. Like, the steel's pretty good, it's just chipped away on the end, but obviously the glass seat's on the outside. But I will sort of make this flush, skim fill it with bog, tiny little pit hole there that I'll skim fill with bog as well, and yeah, should be sweet after that. I don't think we'll have any more rust issues. All right guys, it's starting to look pretty good. I've done the whole frame, I guess, of the window, you would call it, inside and out. So these little pitted bits, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rust convert the whole lot, but then I am going to skim fill them just so they're nice and flat for the new windscreen to go on. But it's looking pretty good. Pretty stoked I've got a windscreen out by myself. I've never done one before, didn't even look it up. How's that? So anyway, on to the next job, rust conversion. Concoction of rust remover, and I'm just going to paint. Actually, I won't be able to do it. It's a bit hard filming on the phone, but like that. I'm only doing the rusted areas because that's what it says in the bottle. There's a bit of surface rust down here. So I'm going to go around and hit all the rusted areas. These had a bit of rust on them. Alright guys, so I've got the bog there waiting to be sanded down. That's going to take about half an hour to get to that point. So what I'm actually going to do is I've actually heated up the rust converter first of all, and I did wire wheel it back so the bog can actually connect into the metal itself and not onto the rust converter. So I have wire wheeled then bogged, and then I've heated up the rest of the rust converter to activate it a lot quicker. It sort of just speeds up the process. So what I'm going to do now, while that's going off, is I'm actually just going to start painting this side. Now the paint that I'm using is just a zinc galv metal shield. So as you can see there, galvanizes rust and corrosion protection. So that's what we're after, rust protection. So none of these bits are going to need doing, because the way they put glass in these days, they actually put a resin in there as well. So it's going to seal all that up. I probably didn't even need to do that bit, but anyway, I'm doing it. And yeah, I'm going to start painting with this. All right, so as you can see, I've patched that little hole. He was right there. That little divot I didn't do. That wasn't me, I promise. Anyway, down here I've had to do a second fill because just there wasn't flat. So I'll quickly show you guys how I flatten this out just by hand, because you can really overdo this. Like, you can take it off really quickly. So you're best off doing it by hand. I'm gonna grab like a square file, 2 bits of sandpaper like that. These are just for the orbital sander, but that'll just wrap around that, and it works really well. So I'll show you guys how to do it. So as you can see, I got that skim fill just perfectly over that. So wait for that to dry, sand it back, and she should be mint. As I can't feel anything there, that's perfect. So a lot better than what it was. Up here is definitely flat enough. I'm not going to bother bogging that. It's definitely got enough surface area. Down here was just looking a bit scungy, so looks good now. So gonna go brown, finish painting just this corner. I've done the rest of it and inside, and then we can start hitting it with the black color that I have. All right guys, we're at the final stages. We've just got to lay some black paint down over the top. I have a doopy color like engine enamel paint. It should be tough enough. I'm gonna leave the glass out. Like, what I'll do is I'll put it aside and I'm gonna leave it out until we paint the whole cab. That way we can get a much better job. We don't have to pull back rubbers or anything like that. But for now, I am gonna paint it, and then probably tomorrow I'll sit the glass back on and just duct tape it over, just so we can pull it out in the weather pretty much and nothing gets in there. But it's time to start laying that black paint, and I'm so stoked that we pulled this apart. I literally came in to attack this side because there's rust up there and there's rust coming down the side here, which means it's up in the roof on this side, and I wanted to shave that gutter off like we've done on the other side. But then when I pulled down this liner, I just noticed all that rust and just thought, holy crap, I've got to get onto that. And it looks like we got it just early enough. Like, that bit was getting pretty bad. It wouldn't have been long until that started rotted into this A-pillar, and all that was sort of just starting to rot away. So stoked that we got it early, and this is the paint we're painting the rest of it with. And then my favorite KO66 is going to go all up through the top of that, and I am considering painting the roof at some point as well, now that that moldy ass headliner is down. So we're making good progress on the project. Right guys, the painting's all done. How good does that look? The bog really turned out really good on that area. Like you can't even tell. The rest of it's going to be awesome for when the new windscreen or that old windscreen just goes back on. I don't know, the price difference might not be that great for them to put that back in or put a new windscreen in. I'll weigh that up when it comes to the time, but it looks absolutely awesome. So this is something I definitely didn't plan on doing tonight. I stayed back to shave off that gutter and ended up finding the rust, but got to get rid of it. So here we are. And the last step is going to be for me to spray that KO66 all through the roof, but I won't bore you guys with that. I'm just going to put some cardboard so it can sort of drip onto that overnight if it does come through a seam. So that's going to protect all the rust up in this frame. It's just going to stop it from ever happening again. So I'm going to start spraying this stuff, but with the power of editing, you guys are going to be taken back to the video right now. So I did put up a post on Instagram about possibly doing a set of roof sliders. If you don't know what roof sliders are, take a look at this image just here and tell me what you guys think, because I'm still tossing up. But the way that the snorkel mounts on the car, it's actually not going to be very doable. So I'm sort of steering away from it. The votes were majority for yes. I think it was 60-40 yes, no. So 60% said yes, which means that normally I would do it, but I think it's really going to clash. And the other side of it is that it's just another thing that can rust. I'm not planning to hit the cab on the roof, and even if I did, it's not like a super strong, because you don't have an inside cage, it's not like a super strong bar to lean on. So there's not that many benefits to actually doing it. I'm kind of regretting putting up that post, but anyway, we'll just see what happens. We are just going to bog it now, make it look pretty, and hopefully get some paint on it very quickly, because we actually are moving pretty fast with the build. I'm not slacking off. There's been a lot of work going on behind the camera, and yeah, I'm just putting in a lot of work and a lot of time. One of the reasons I don't want to do the roof sliders is like, look how clean that looks. So the drip rail only serves a purpose of when it's pissing down rain, that the water doesn't beat off, and when you open the door, run onto your legs and onto your seat. That's the only purpose of the drip rail. You do have two rubbers around the outside, so water does not get in to the seals here as you're driving. Even if it did, like the drip rail only covered just to there, so even before this, you know, the drip rail wasn't covering too much. A lot of classic cars, they shave off the drip rail, so I'm not seeing a massive issue with any sort of weatherproofing or anything like that. But nobody has shaved drip rails. I haven't found a photo yet with nothing up here, so I think just to be different, that's why I want to leave it. I just think it looks so clean. Like, look at the other side. This side turned out a lot better because there was a lot less rust, but you know, that just looks so good to me. So nice and clean. On it at the moment is a primer putty. So pretty much today, I'll fill you in on what we're going to do. I'm going to sit the glass back in and probably duct tape around the outside. That way I can still pull it out into the weather. But we do still have the original rubber, so it's just sort of cut up, so I'm not going to put it in properly, but we will rest the rubber on there, sit the window on, duct tape that up. But before that, actually the main reason we want to do that is so that when I do go to paint, we can get a much better result if I have the glass out. So I want to be able to quickly remove that glass. The other thing we're going to do today is finish bogging these, because they're obviously not perfect yet. There is like a couple, I mean, this one's pretty good. Let me show you the other one. So the other one up here just has a couple little, I don't know if you guys can see that, a couple little divots here. You know, I just want to tidy all that up, make it look really nice. So we're going to do that today, and then sit the glass back in, like I said, get that nice and flat. We're basically starting the bodywork, which is pretty exciting. Like, we are onto the stage that we're almost going to paint the cab. Then we've got to build a tray, got a bull bar, looking at a bull bar, haven't bought it yet, but looking at a nice looking 3-hoop bull bar, because you guys voted for that. But anyway, this is the plan for today. We're going to bog that. The other plan is, which I'll show you in a sec, I've got a mirror that mounts to the top of these two holes. So we need to shave these two holes, like fill them up with weld, bog them, get them nice and flat. So I'm going to do that today. So with this quick update, there's going to be a little bit of work today, but not a whole lot of exciting stuff. Just tidying that up, filling up that hole, and putting the window back on. Basically, I want to show you guys just the basic tools that you're going to need. So obviously some body filler, that's the most important one. Piece of metal. You shouldn't use body filler on cardboard just because it's porous, it sort of soaks into stuff. So anyway, I always use a bit of metal. This is a scraping tool, it's just a thin piece of plastic. They're a couple of dollars for like $5 or $6. This is a bit heavier of a plastic tool. I use this for mixing. Got some orbital sand pads here, all different grits. So there's some thin, some heavy, just to take the material down really quick. Orbital sander. You can buy an electric sander, which is still an orbital, but yeah, I just use an air one. Got some primer and putty in one, and just some multi-surface primer. So because body filler is porous, if I put body filler over the top of this and leave it, and water gets near it or moisture gets near it, it's actually going to soak in the moisture. And then when you paint a couple years later, you might start getting bubbles in because it'll start expelling the water out of it. So you want to get primer on it pretty much straight after you're done. That's just been the rule of thumb with that sort of stuff. So we also have a sanding block. Now what blocking does is when you've got it flat against the surface and block across like that, you'll hear a lot of people talk about blocking if you're looking up paint and panel. Basically, it's going to leave the surface behind it perfectly flat because it is a block. So pretty much if you have a little pit hole, you're not going to like dig into the pit hole. It's just going to skim right past. It's going to leave that little part, that little pit hole that you've got, and you're going to know that you need to fill up that pit hole. So it's really good to have a block. And just some sandpaper to suit that block. We've got some 240 and I think this is 1200. Yep. So this is the finishing one that I'm going to use. This is just to cut it down a bit quicker. So they're the tools that you're going to need. A bit of prep wash, wax and grease remover. That's obviously just get all the grease off, because otherwise your putty's not going to stick to it. One trick that I have learned over the past couple of days is to mix this as fast as possible, because once it starts curing, so you get like, it's 1 parts body filler to 50 parts hardener, but once it starts curing, it gets a bit like, I don't know, chalky, like it's hard to sort of spread. So when you're doing this sort of stuff, you want to just mix it up as fast as possible, get a nice consistent color through the filler, which I'll show you in a sec. And then you pretty much just want to get it on here as quick as possible, start skim filling, and you'll see what I mean if you're doing it. You'll start to go and it'll start to pull the body filler out of the paint. That's when it's too hard to work with and you just got to let it sit. So now that I've shown you guys that, I'm going to start just sanding this primer back. It is a primer and a filler, so I can fill over the top of that and just start laying some bog over the top of it. So wish me luck, boys. Right, just real quick, I wanted to say we do have some new t-shirts coming, and we are doing a pre-order system. That way everyone can get their sizes and colors that they want. We are doing 3 colors this time. So the website is almost done. I will put up a post on Instagram. So if you're not following the Instagram, please do so. It's just @RoamLife. And also I will put a post up on YouTube. But what's going to happen is we're going to release it, and then you pretty much got 2 weeks to order your items. Like we're only doing shirts because it's hard to get hoodies at the moment. So we are doing t-shirts. They're a really cool design. I might even put the design up over here somewhere. But we're super keen to get these out to you guys. Pre-order system means that you guys can get all your colors and sizes that you want. So pretty stoked to do that, because we did run out. When I tried to stock them, we ran out of sizes so quickly, and sizes that I didn't think we'd run out of, we had, and yeah, it was just a mess. So it's going to be a lot better to do it this way. We're also on the new website stocking the rock lights. I've been onto the supplier and said, so many of you guys messaged me saying, where'd you get your rock lights from? So we are now stocking them. We are the Australian distributor, and they're going to be on the website too, very cheap. So in comparison to other brands, they're going to be awesome. I've ran them for so long, and I've had them sunk in water. I've used and abused them. They're just awesome. I wouldn't sell you guys anything that is crap and that I haven't tested. So pretty keen to get that out to you guys. So just keep an eye out on the Instagram, and super keen. And even if you don't buy a t-shirt, we do appreciate all your support anyway. And if you do buy a t-shirt, you're an absolute legend. I can't wait to see them on you guys. But anyway, enough of that boring stuff. Back to the video. Righto, so I've got a pretty high grit on here on the orbital sander. I think it's, let's have a look actually. It is 60 grit. So we're just going to 60 grit it back. That's going to allow me to see all the low spots. Then we can hit it with some filler, go to the other side, do the same thing. Right, so like I said before, you've got to work real quick with this stuff. And normally you can't do this over paint. We are only doing it onto bare metal and over primer. So, I mean not primer, like filler primer. So what you do is you get out no more than what you think you're going to use, because you don't want to waste it. Plonk that on the metal. Now this is the hardener. Good scoop of that. Not a good scoop, little scoop. Pretty much what I do is now you fight it, you go like this, get that colour as consistent as quickly as possible. Now I've just got this skim fill piece of plastic here. I know you guys probably can't see properly, but I have to be quick with this stuff. So I just press down nice and hard over the parts that you want to fill. Alright, and pretty much once it gets to that tacky stage, you just got to leave it, because the more you play around with it, the more you'll stuff it. But let me give you guys a close up. I'll just quickly clean this off. Alright, hopefully you guys can see that. So just lay it on nice and thick, and then you can clean it up as much as you want later. That's looking real good. So it's 10 minutes until it's dry to the touch, but it's actually 30 until you can start playing with it and sanding it. So we just got to wait now. Fun times, mate. What else can we do? Something I can do while we wait is start prepping these to actually get filled up with weld and get rid of them. We're just going to sand them. Don't want to take off any material here. Got to remember to constantly keep cooling this, because the way that metal works with heat is it expands and shrinks, and it can quite easily just like wrinkle a panel. Like it could just pull in randomly somewhere, so got to make sure we keep it cool. Right, so just by feel, they're nice and flat. I did use the belt sander and just pressed it flat against that, and it's got it almost perfect. So now we skim fill those little welds there, and that's going to allow us to get a perfectly flat surface so the paint doesn't show anything. So I'm going to skim fill it now. Once again, like I said, mix it fast. Press in, when you're welding, you got to press in really hard on your first coat just to get it in every nook and cranny. Otherwise it can actually show up after. So yeah, let's give it a crack. Yeah, first skim coat, it's looking pretty good. Sand that back, any imperfections, we hit it again, and it probably looks like the top coat that we've done is ready to be sanded. All right, I'm trying to get you guys a proper view, but it's really hard to do, but we've got the block sander, and this is definitely ready. You don't want to hit this too early because it'll just stuff your sandpaper straight away, but you can do this by hand just so I can get a nice feel of what's going on. Alright guys, so I got that pretty flat, but there was still a couple of little bits, so I've gone back for a second skim. This should be the last skim. One of them down there, the holes that I patched up, one of them was a little bit iffy, so I've re-skimmed that as well. So this should be it for this side. Once it's all sanded, it should be mint. And yeah, then we flip the car around, move on to the next side, and I'm keen as. Alright guys, so I've actually sanded that down with some nice thin sandpaper. Also got the door done, so we can move on to the other side now, but I'll just quickly show you. That, to the touch, is perfectly smooth. Perfectly smooth, it feels so good. I wish I could let you feel it. Alright, so that's all done. So now we can move on. Oh, hang on, I'll show you this one too. See the flatness in that? You can't feel anything. But what we'll do is we'll hit it with this primer and putty, and the putty in it will actually fill just the last of the cracks if there is any. Like, say if I can't feel it and there's a little divot, it'll actually fill it with the putty and also prime it. We'll do this last because we're going to do the other side. There's going to be dust everywhere, so I don't want the dust getting into the primer. But we're at the sort of the final end of this. Well, we're actually halfway through this, so I don't know why I just said that, but I'm going to flip this around just so I can keep all the dust on one side, which means shifting the nav and pulling this out, chucking a U-bolt, bringing her back in. Leisha's ordering pizza. Ryan's on his way to the shop. How's it feel to drive a man's car?
Oh yeah, good mate.
Yeah, good. Fun as, brah. So this side's a little bit worse just because I was in a rush to get out of here to do it. So we're gonna need a bit of filler. I don't know if you guys can see that little divot there, a bit of filler there. This bit here is just a little bit rounded over. I want to sort that out. And then there's just bog left under here that I haven't filed back yet. So be good to tidy it up. So just like on the other side, I need to fill these holes while that bog's drying, and just going to do the same process as before, weld it up, flap it back, and yeah, should be easy as. Alright, so these are both bogged and dried, and it's time to sand them back and try and get, this is the sort of the part here that I'm the most worried about, getting looking good. So move on to the sanding.
Is that a proper technique, Tom?
Yeah, it's certified.
WHS approved, eh?
Yeah. What do you reckon? That much?
Yeah, mate.
That much.
Go on, a little tiny more scoop, you know?
Righto. Talk me into it.
Yeah, beautiful.
Dab of the hot sauce.
Is that sweet chili?
It's actually Dijon KO mayo.
That is one thing Japan nailed, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, last skim fill, hopefully. That should be the last of the skim fill, and then we can prime it up. And then next weekend, we're ready to prep the body and get some paint on it. All right, so this is looking pretty flat, guys. And when I actually go to paint it, it is going to show up any parts that I've missed, but that's all right. We are going to leave that for today because we still have the whole car to prep, if there is any spots, that is. So Anyway, I'm going to lay some of this paint down, which is a putty and primer, so it's also going to work as a putty and going to fill any sort of crevices that I have missed. But it's really hard to tell until you start getting paint on things what you have missed, because it's all different colours and you know, you just can't really tell with the human eye. So it's time to start laying some paint. So far so good. Righto, so that's pretty much what we call a tack coat. It's a pretty heavy tack coat, but this stuff can handle it. Looks like we've got a couple of high-low spots just starting to show, but like I said, this is going to fill it up. And yeah, my couple of coats of this will be done. They turned out insanely nice, so stoked with the finish. That is a high fill primer on it as well, so I can actually block that back one more time to make it perfectly flat. But as you can tell there with the shine, it's actually really, really, really good. And this is the corner that had the big rust hole in it too, so you'd never be able to tell now. There's just, like, I'm actually insanely surprised how well I've done that, because, I mean, not to toot my own horn, but this is the first project car. I've never done body work like this before. And it's just turned out absolutely insanely good, in my opinion, in my personal opinion. Like I said, we did do the vote for the roof slider, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, as the snorkel's sort of going to get in the way and it'll look weird just having one slider. So I think that's how it's going to sit. It's quite different, actually. Like, I've never really seen a shaved drip rail on a GQ Patrol, and it's very common in like old school cars. So I'm pretty stoked to have it. Like, it looks sick. And obviously today we've done that as well. And I'm not going to put the glass on, like rest it on today. I'll probably do that tomorrow morning when this putty's dry, so I don't stuff anything up. But tonight we're done, leaving it at that. Looks sick. But one thing I actually really did want to do is I wanted to give a name to the nav and the Patrol, because all I actually call it is nav and Patrol. And I think that if we get them a name, it's going to be really cool. So what I wanted to do is give you guys an opportunity to give these two cars a name. If you guys want to drop a name for each into the comments, and then the most liked comment will actually receive the name. If it's reasonable, that's the thing. It can't be something weird. But I'm sick of calling it Patrol, and I'm sick of calling it nav. So let's come up with some sick names. All right, guys. So like I said, we're done now. Shaved drip rails on GQ Patrol. Who would have thought that I would have them? But I do. And I can't wait to get some color on this thing. It's going to be sick. So subscribe if you're not subscribed to watch more of this stuff, and like the video if you want to like the video, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Keep watching, because it's going to be sick, alright?